Hi there and welcome to The Honest Podcast. It is all things Ayr United. We take you right to the heart of the football club, and that certainly applies with today's guests. Scott Brown and Graeme Mathie are here to talk about the season so far, and I guess also to put things in a bit of context as well. How would you describe, Scott, the start to the campaign?
Oh, look, it's been slow. We do gather that. We understand that. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been a bit of frustration from, obviously, ourselves, the players and the fans all. But look, it's 4 games into the season. We're not getting too excited either way. And last season we started like a house on fire. So for us to make sure we know where we are, it's expectation levels of everyone's increased since last season, which we totally expect and which is good for the club as well. But for us, we've had to go and sign another 8 bodies, and people come, people go, and people move on to other clubs as well, and we can't really stop that. So we've had to kind of refresh and go again.
You set the bar pretty high last season as well, because my last season's points total was 19 points better than it had been in the championship. And that then is the level, I guess, that the supporters are thinking. You know, that's where we're going to be again, or even higher. Yeah,
look, everyone wants to keep that dream alive and keep the club pushing forward and in the right direction. And we are definitely in that same mould as well. We want to drive the club forward. We want to win every game, and we always believe that we go into the game and that we can win the games. And like, we've had a couple of dodgy penalty decisions against us, which, like, these things happen and they'll even themselves out all the way through the seasons. And like, we just got to get ourselves ahead and stay ahead and make sure we start getting back to that winning mentality.
Graeme, is there a danger that expectations around the club become unrealistic?
I don't know whether I'd say that, but I think the one thing I'm enthused by is the fact that there is an expectation now, and I think what our job is as a board is to try and understand exactly where we are on the journey. So, been in nearly 4 years now, 4 years in December, and I think, if I'm honest, I think the club has grown probably quicker than I anticipated it would do. So having a level of expectation is great, and I think we all want to embrace that, because we all want to be part of a club that's moving forward and progressing and being ambitious and trying to outperform where it's been before. That desire and that ambition's never left. I guess where I find myself, and I'm inherently boring, but I need to remain inherently boring. You know, so it's looking for us at things like, you know, we know what points totals we need to get to be in certain positions in the league. I think this year, the way the league started anyway, would suggest that those points totals might alter. I don't think there's going to be as big a gap between the team that wins the league and the team that gets relegated, for example. You know, so far there's been half the games in the division, even if the first 4 rounds have been draws. So it does show you that the teams are a lot more closer together this year than maybe they have been in the past. But, you know, just as Scott says, I think when we start getting our squad back together, we brought in players pretty early. We were pretty ambitious with 2 or 3 of those signings as well. And we were probably 1 player away, I think, from building the squad that we anticipated at the beginning of the year. So getting them all back on the pitch and keeping them on the pitch as much as we can, I think will undoubtedly help and give the manager a lot more competition for places. So I think it's great for me that there is an expectation around the club, and I think both of us want to be at a club that's got an ambition and a drive and a desire to improve and keep moving forward. I think it's important, like myself and on behalf of the board, can actually communicate where we think we are on that journey and some of the things that we still need to do to keep moving forward. For example, I think it's fair to say that if we were budgeting 2 or 3 seasons ago to finish in the playoffs, that was a calculated gamble, you know, and I don't mind saying that. I think now, if we budget to finish in around those positions, that's where we probably do expect to be. But looking at the teams that have been promoted over the last number of years, the fact the club's not been in the Premier League for 50 years, you know, being promoted is difficult, and we need to be clear on that. Tends to be the team that spends the most money that gets promoted, and I think that's the next part of my job is to try and think about how we can actually generate some additional revenue to increase the player budget to a level where we start saying, absolutely, we expect to win the league. So at the moment, we've got an ambition to be in the Premier League. We've not shied away from that. We want to continue to talk about being Premier League ready, because that gives us a focus in everything that we do to try and make it as good as we possibly can with the resources we've got. But we're also aware that, you know, if we can start giving the management team a budget on par with those that spend the most money in the league, then that's the point where we start putting them under real pressure and say, go and win a league.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing about progress is too that it's not necessarily a straight line, is it? I mean, you know, it'd be lovely if the graph was just going steadily up like that, but that's not the way it is, Scott, is it?
No, I think if you look at Livingston last season as well, they had a very slow start to the season. and they came really, really good. They got strong, they got everyone back fit, and they got good competition for places. And like, we want to get ourselves in that and around the playoffs. Of course we do. We want to make sure we're winning home games. And like, it doesn't help the first game of the season. You lose 1-0 and it's due to a mistake. And like, we've got to make sure we manage games a little bit better. And look, we'll get better at that as a team because we're fairly new together and there is a lot of new bodies in there. But like, that's no any excuses. That's on us, and that's on us as a coaching staff and as our players committed together. So for us, it's just to make sure that we reinstall things that we've done really well last season, but also make sure we bring that together with the ones that are new into here and don't just throw a curveball at them every now and then.
In the final quarter last season, Graeme, Ayr were pretty much bracketed with Falkirk and Livingston, and it's interesting to see, you know, what they're doing already in the Premiership. They're both settling down to life a league up, and this club was very much at that sort of level late on last season.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I take the size of the overall club, Rob, you know, you look at teams like Hamilton that have got promoted and been in the Premier League for a number of years. You know, Ross County, I don't necessarily think would be classed as being a bigger club than Ayr United. St Johnstone, and as you've mentioned, Falkirk and Livingston. So I think maybe what they differ in was that the amount of money they had available to have a budget that could allow them to go and do that, and that's certainly something that we're working away on in the background. But I mean, that was my first conversation with the board when I took the job, and you know, I don't mind going back to those days because the club was, I think, 2 points off the bottom of the Championship at that point in time in December. And I'm saying, well, let's look at these type of clubs, let's look at the areas they're from, let's look at the season ticket bases I've got, let's look at their history. You know, if they've existed and been promoted and spent time in the Premier League, why can Ayr not? So we're absolutely no shying away from that. That's the fact that that's our ambition. I think what we're probably having a chat about here is that, you know, how clear are we on where we are on that journey, and that's I think a big part of my job is to keep reminding everybody internally about where we are, trying to keep pushing along with the manager and the rest of the staff in terms of maximising what we're doing in every area, but just being aware of where we are and what we need to continue to improve and make better, and resources that we need to make better in order to keep moving on.
Where is the club in the league table of budgets in the Championship? Because maybe that gives a guide as to where the club should be aiming, I guess. Yeah,
so we think there's 3 clubs that are significantly more than the rest. We think there's another group of 3 of which we're in, which are probably similar, and then there's probably another 3 or 4 which are a little bit less than that. So, you know, we probably think we're about the 4th or 5th biggest budget in the league this year.
How has the transfer window gone from your point of view, Scott? I mean, the business was all done pretty much early on. Unlike some other clubs, there's been no late scrambling. How happy are you with what's come in?
We still had a late scramble. No, but look, it's good to get the business done early doors. We have had a lot of them get injured at this moment in time, so look, it's a fresh start for them to come back in. We've jumped in and out of shape just to get ourselves ready, but look, we're delighted with the squad. We're now, hopefully, with this week coming into the free weekend, we've got a bounce game coming up on Wednesday against Motherwell. So we'll get some of the lads that haven't been playing that much, and plus a couple of lads that are coming back from injury as well, some game time, which is really good for us. And now hopefully building up to the next league game against Ross County, that we'll get more and more bodies coming back to it, because like, we've missed Ben, we've missed Anton for a long time. Holty's been playing through injury for us. Scotty McMahon's not been great, so as in feeling wise, sorry. So he's been kind of pushing a virus about, and we've had to give him extra time off. And like, they've done brilliant to play in the games for us and soldier through. And like, that's what you want. You want warriors like that you can go and you can trust, you can put your hat on as well. And like, those lads have dug us out a huge hole, because if they too were injured as well, the back line's looking really, really young, shall we say. But also probably most of them won't be defenders that would be in that back line. So they've done great for us in that circumstance, but now this is a chance to hopefully get the little niggles away and hopefully get everyone fresh for that Ross County game.
What you can't legislate for is Ben having that injury, and he's so central to everything you want to do on the pitch, and then you bring in Stuart Bannigan and he picks up an injury and then he can't play for a while, and they're both right in the middle of the pitch for you.
Yeah, look, the pitch is key no matter what, and we always talk about the core of the team. Talk about centre half, midfielders and centre forward, as well as your goalie, and they have to be the vital ones, and usually the ones that you give and take on players wise is in wing backs, wingers, and you float about with a 10 as well. So for us it's important to get the top players back in, but competition in the squad. Ben's a club captain, Ben's club captain for a reason, because Ben was fantastic last season. He's shown a great attitude since we first came into the club, and he wants to get better every training session, and like, he's pushing to get himself right back in the mix as well, which has been fantastic news for us. But like, you can't throw him right in the deep end, and you need to make sure he's got game time beforehand, because you do that and there's a huge chance of picking up more injury, wear and tear issues as well, and plus not being physically properly fit to get in there. So we need to make sure we maintain him. Anton as well is the exact same. Anton's been out for a whole year, which is really, really hard for any player, but the way he's came back in, the way he's looked in training, and hopefully now we can start to see minutes and friendlies for him as well.
Is Ben effectively doing pre-season at the moment?
Ben's got a mini pre-season, which is horrible for Ben, because Ben feels like he can push through, and we're just putting the reins on him just that little bit, because he is a huge player for the club, but we can't afford for him to go and get injured again.
Anton's obviously getting close now. Hopefully he does get some minutes in that match you were talking about at Motherwell. And I guess it's not just what he brings to the team as an individual, but the effect he has on everyone round about as well.
It's personality, it's the understanding of the game. He's a very intelligent football player, and he knows how we want to play, whether it's 4-3-3 or it's 3-5-2, and he picks up those roles really, really well. So like, competition's obviously good up front. We've got Maino, you've got Gio, and you've got Anton now there as well. So if Anton's pushing back in there, it's three good players that are fighting for two positions.
What have you had so far from Kyle and Jude? How much have they contributed, and how much more will you get from them?
It's a first loan move for them, which is key for them to go out and get minutes, but they've got to go and earn it, and that's what they've been doing. And they've been working hard in training. Some of them being thrown right in the deep end due to injuries as well. So look, Jude and Kyle have both had a lot of minutes since coming here, and they've been fantastic in training. They've got great attitudes. They work extremely hard. They want to try and better themselves. Like, we do know they're going back to Celtic, so they're wanting to make sure this loan moves goes as clean and as well as they physically want, as in minutes in the park. There's their own performances as well, but also for players, for staff members at Celtic to come and watch them as well, and to see how they perform in an actual championship game.
It's a great link-up, Graeme, isn't it, this, with the cooperation agreement with Celtic. Do we expect another Celtic player coming to Ayr, or is that got a question mark over it at the moment?
It's a bit of a question mark at the moment, Rob, so again, that's the beauty of the transfer window, so we kind of thought we were heading in a direction, and then circumstances changed. But no, the dialogue with Celtic's been great. Sean Maloney's stepped in as a kind of loan manager, head of player development from that perspective, and he's been good. So, you know, the conversations are clearly focused on players, but there's other wider benefits I think that we can get from it in terms of learning from various staff at Celtic, and trying to think how we can continue to improve what we're doing here. So the cooperation agreement with Celtic's been great. The cooperation agreement with Stirlingshire again is doing exactly what we knew it would do. And there's Lucas at the weekend, for example, been able to come and play some minutes in our first team. Jamie Hislop being in the squad alongside Lucas the week before, and then Jamie this week going back and contributing really well for East Stirlingshire. So, you know, they were counted as part of our wider squad numbers, but it's just brilliant for us that we can have these players playing regular match minutes if they're not needed to come and contribute in the first team.
Is a free weekend this weekend quite useful because of the start to the season? Is it a chance to maybe reboot ahead of the Ross County game, or would you prefer to have a game this coming weekend?
No, it's good both ways, because as I talked about the injuries and people coming back in, it gives us an opportunity to freshen them up a little bit and then go again. And the ones that have been playing not too many minutes as well, for them to get obviously game time tomorrow. So no, look, it's a little bit of balance. You can give the lads a little bit of time off, but you need to make sure that what we're working on is what we need to make sure that we're working on Saturday. Speed of play, moving the ball forward quicker, and like scoring goals. Scoring goals is the biggest thing in football games, and we've managed to maintain the not too many shots on target. Mitch hasn't had too much to do the last game. It was a penalty, so for us a little bit disappointing in the penalty. But as I say, these things will balance themselves out long term. The opportunities that we had, we should have won the game, if I'm honest, and we need to be more ruthless in front of goal.
And sometimes goals come in clusters, don't they? When you get that, make that breakthrough, get that goal, maybe there's a few more to come.
Yeah, definitely. And looking pre-season, Gio and Maino have been scoring goals, and now we just need to make sure we put that in. But we also need everyone else to chip up with goals as well. Quality crosses, delivery in the box, that has to be a key as well.
What do you sense, Graeme, at the moment is the atmosphere among the fans? It's so early into the season, but then football fans are football fans, and they make very quick judgments and sometimes maybe hit the panic button as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the perception is that, you know, the atmosphere's been pretty quiet at the last number of games, and I suppose, look, this is a great opportunity for us to kind of, I suppose, speak back to the fans as well, just to let them know that we understand where we are. We're not at the start of this season where we ideally want to be, but at the same time I think we are pretty aware of where we are as a club and the progression that we're still making. So you know, that is one thing I keep saying about myself. I'm an inherently boring individual, so I think very logically about things, and I think that's hopefully a strength I bring into this job, that there's no panic at all. We're very early into the season. We saw really promising signs through the League Cup, qualifying with a game to spare. You know, we look at last season as a collective and think that the team was performing really well to get the points totals it had. So you know, we are aware of, I think, where we are in the bigger picture of the Championship this year, and we've absolutely still got the aim and the ambition to be at the right end of the table come the end of the season, which is ultimately the most important.
And if the fans are frustrated, Scott, so are you.
Yeah, like, I want to win every game. I always talk about whether it's training, it's in game situations, you want to make sure you win that, you get the edge over your opponent no matter what. And like, we look at ourselves, and that's the best thing about the football club. You always look yourself in the mirror. Could we have done better? Could we have done this better? And like, we ask the lads to do that as well. And for us, like, you need to make sure, if you want to be a top player at any football club, that you look at yourself first before you look at any teammates and blame anybody else. So like, we always take responsibility for everything. Like, we pick the team, we put the lads on the park, and like, if they're not performing, they're not scoring goals, there's other players that's there that will jump in and hopefully chip in for us as well. And then like, form comes around as well, and a little bit of freshness, a couple of days off here and there will hopefully help the lads, but also a little bounce game as well against Motherwell tomorrow, hopefully maintain their fitness as well. And
it goes without saying, the connection between you and the players and the supporters, it's massive. It's, you know, it's so required, isn't it? And
yeah, like, they're a 12th man. They're the ones that help us through hard times, and like, football's never going to be we're going to win every game. You've got to earn the right to go and win the game. You've got to earn the right to go and play, and we need them just as much as they need us. And like, if we can all pull together and get the best for this football club, I'm sure we'll all move in the right direction.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Graeme, and thank you for watching or listening, whatever you're doing to this podcast. Thanks to Gary and Niall behind the cameras, and to the University of West of Scotland, who've helped us produce this podcast, and we will talk to you soon.